To paraphrase Biggie Smalls, sometimes more money means more problems. And that's especially true for some people who win the lottery. It turns out that becoming a multimillionaire overnight doesn't always lead to happiness. Just ask Jeffrey Dampier. Jeffrey Dampier was an average guy. He grew up on Chicago's West Side and worked as a security guard until he won a staggering $20 million in the Illinois State Lottery in 1996. After coming into that kind of money, Dampier's life changed pretty abruptly. He and his wife got divorced, splitting the winnings 50-50. Dampier then began dating and eventually married another woman named Crystal Jackson. 2 years later, the couple moved to Tampa Bay, Florida, where they opened a gourmet popcorn store. Dampier was generous with his winnings, especially to Jackson's side of the family. He spent lavishly on cruises and gifts. And when his sisters-in-law fell on hard times, he offered to take care of their finances. But he had a less than innocent motive for doing so. He was actually having an affair with his wife's sister, Victoria Jackson. It seems like he had a good luck streak going for him for a few years. Then in 2005, his life took a dark turn. As it turned out, Victoria was also dating another man named Nathaniel Jackson. And no, even though they had the same last name, they weren't related. Which would in turn end up being very unfortunate for Jeffrey Dampier. Nathaniel knew about Jeffrey Dampier's money, and came up with a plan to get his hands on it with Victoria's help. According to Victoria's account, she showed up at Nathaniel's apartment on July 26. He then demanded that she call Dampier and tell him to come to the apartment. Victoria lured him over by claiming that she was having car troubles. When Jeffrey Dampier showed up to help, Nathaniel pulled out a shotgun and forced him into his van. It wasn't long before his hands were bound behind his back with shoestrings while Victoria drove the van. Nathaniel repeatedly hit Dampier with the butt of the gun, demanding that he turn over his money. And then handed the gun to Victoria to try to reason with him, when he proved uncooperative. Victoria then fired a single shot into the back of Dampier's skull, killing him almost instantly. The pair drove the van to a deserted road and abandoned it with Dampier's body inside. The body was discovered soon afterward, and the two fugitives were arrested a few days later. At the trial, the defense painted Victoria as a victim. According to the defense, Nathaniel had forced Victoria into committing the murder. But the prosecution argued that when she placed the phone call that lured Dampier to the apartment, she knew what would eventually happen. Both Jacksons were sentenced to life in prison, where they remain today. For Jeffrey Dampier, winning the lottery turned out to be a death sentence. As it turns out, he most likely would have been better off without it.
Please click the subscribe button so you can keep up to date with my channel. Thanks for watching and take care.